All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started just so that we are mindful of time. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dr. Precious Parks, Director of Programs here at Collaborative for Children. We're so glad that you're here today for today's workshop, Get Your Child School Ready. This session is all about giving you simple, practical tips to help your child start school with confidence, whether that is building independence, social and emotional learning skills, or just making sure that learning is fun at home. So before we jump in, just a couple of quick reminders. Please keep your microphone muted. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat. The team will be responding to questions as they appear in the chat. And at the end of today's session, you will receive the presentation by email. So to get us started, I'd like to turn it over to the woman who leads the important work of making sure our children have the best possible start, Ms. Sabrielle Bonner, who is Program Manager of Early Learning Strategy, who will introduce today's speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Parks. Today's session will be led by one of our senior early childhood specialists. Our senior early childhood specialists are experienced professionals who provide coaching, training, and support to our teachers and educators. Their role focuses on strengthening teaching practices, improving classroom environments, and guiding educators in strategies that promote children's learning, development, and school readiness. They also serve as mentors, ensuring that there are high quality standards across all of our early childhood programs. So please welcome Ms. Stephanie Pitts.
Everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's still morning. First, I want to learn a little bit about my audience so I know who I'm speaking to today. So if you are a parent or a family member of a child that will soon be entering kindergarten, can you write that in the chat? Just your role, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, uncle. Okay, and I'm going to ask, do we have any educators as well? And if so, if you can type in what grade you are currently teaching. There it is. So just a little bit about myself. I am a senior early childhood specialist here at Collaborative for Children. I work closely with teachers to build high quality classroom environments that support school readiness and lifelong learning. This parent workshop extends that same mission, but we're going to do it inside the home by equipping families with practical strategies to support their child's development. So just as we guide educators in fostering curiosity, language, and early learning skills, this session will empower you with simple, effective ways to reinforce those same skills at home. So this morning, I'll be sharing a few practical tips to prepare your children for school. So each tip will highlight how our program supports both the parents and the teachers in fostering school readiness. Okay, so before we just dive on into those tips, it's important to know that each of the topics that I will discuss today will also tie in into the Texas Pre-Kindergarten Guidelines. So what are the Texas Pre-Kindergarten Guidelines? Well, I'm glad you asked. These guidelines provide guidance for planning quality learning experiences for all children ages 3 to 5 years of age. The guideline is designed to help educators identify the types of knowledge and skills that are typical of pre-K age children. They are intended to help with implementing effective instructional strategies and learning experiences. So for teachers, I would say that this guideline shows them what children should know before entering kindergarten. And then for us parents, and I'm a parent myself, it will tell you exactly what your child will be expected to know. So when you think about the Texas pre-K guidelines, I would think pretty much this is our TEKS for pre-K. And of course, you can learn more about the pre-K guidelines by visiting their website as well. Although there are 10 domains in the Texas pre-K guidelines, I will only be discussing 4 of those today. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first tip I wanted to state that we will discuss is practicing independent skills, which ties into the social emotional domain. In our program, we coach teachers on how to foster independence by embedding daily routines that give children regular opportunities to practice those essential self-help skills, such as washing their hands, putting on their jackets, putting the little straw in the little Capri Sun, opening up their snacks, and then, of course, using their restroom independently. And as a mom myself, I always have to remember that patience is a virtue. So, for example, when I'm getting ready to leave for a doctor's appointment with one of my kiddos, while it's easier just to throw on their shoes, their jacket, tie up their laces, I have to remember, hey, is this helping them or is it helping, me? However, you have to teach them those skills, and honestly, you're promoting their confidence by doing so. And of course, their fine motor skills as well. Okay, another tip I wanted to add, how can we build social and emotional skills through play? Well, you can do that three ways. Arranging play dates, literally going to a park, things like that, taking your kids on those little play dates that us parents just love. Practice sharing, so you could do that by sharing toys or doing honestly any type of game that you can follow those little simple rules. And then, of course, having them express their feelings, so giving them the words to express their feelings. Our program promotes social development by creating classroom environments that encourage turn-taking, sharing, and respectful communication. Our specialists work directly with pre-K teachers to help design nurturing spaces where children feel safe, supported, and free to express themselves. So, for example, one of our teachers in Circle Time, we review the responsibilities and expectations of what our day should look like. And thus that sets the tone for a respectful and cooperative learning environment. So just think about how many times you tell your children, maybe at home or in the classroom, use your words, use your words, use your words. But what if some of our babies do not have the words to use? So I want to give you another tip. So helping your child name their emotion can be instrumental. What does it mean to feel sad? Instead of just saying, I feel frustrated, what does that feeling mean? So you're giving them those words, feeding them those words. Okay, and here's one of my favorites. So, right now, I believe that the recommended time is 20 minutes per day for a child to read, either by themselves, or with their parents. So reading together, we all know that develops so much. You're going to know how to read, learn how to read throughout your whole entire life, right? So daily reading develops the vocabulary, learning skills, language skills, listening skills, comprehension abilities, and then once we have the reading done, we can introduce the interactive reading, which I call the WH questions: who, what, when, where, why, how. So asking those questions also enhances their comprehension and their critical thinking as well. It is also important to note that reading words in their learning environments link the word to their meaning. So when you see that M for McDonald's is linking that word to the meaning of the word. So what that looks like for our younger children who have not developed some of their words, maybe some of our 1 and 2-year-olds, you can do what we refer to as picture walks. So really opening up a book, you see a picture of a cow, you're saying cow, what sound does a cow make? Moo. So having the child mimic you, and guess what? You're giving them those vocabulary and reading skills already, even in their little young minds. Our program promotes reading by utilizing our progress monitoring tool that tracks literacy development of each pre-K child. When our specialists enter a center, we teach our educators to be both intentional and individualized. We train them on how to tailor each lesson, focusing on the child's strengths and areas for growth. Furthermore, we coach teachers on how to use story time to spark a love for books. In addition, our program also have what we call Parents as Partners Workshop, which are fun, interactive events where families engage in hands-on learning. These workshops are designed to help parents support school readiness, but to do it at home or on the go. So recognizing that parents are their child's first teacher, we provide them with practical tools that they can use both at home and on the go. Each child leaves with a student readiness activity bag, and those are filled with all types of goodies. They have alphabet bingo, number games, and honestly, all other educational materials to make learning both fun and accessible. Okay, and now we're to my fourth tip, practicing academic concept. What are the most important ones for our children that are about to enter kindergarten? Letter naming and sound correspondence. So I know a lot of children like to identify the letters in their name first, which is fine. Practicing recognizing other letters, putting the sound to the letter. What sound does the A make? Ah. So just little things like that, possibly playing a game. You have rote counting, literally that's just counting from memory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then counting steps is a step more. If I give you the child 3 teddy bears, can you count 3 teddy bears? 1, 2, 3. And then afterwards, how many did you just count? Of course, that answer should be the last number that they just counted. And then finally, colors and shapes. So you want to use playful, pressure-free methods on how to teach colors and shape, and always tell parents to go to the laundry, have them to pick out the socks and match the colors is a cute little fun way to do. We know that many of our centers in our program are under-resourced, so providing them with material bundles and educational bundles, we are supporting each child's academic and developmental growth. These bundles include things like bear counters, puzzles, alphabet activities, magnetic numbers, writing tools, and STEM technology. Okay, and finally, I just want to add and end kind of my part of the session with one of my favorite quotes. It says, at Collaborative, we know that a positive early learning experience in the first 5 years of life is the key to better jobs, better incomes, better education, better socialization skills, and a better, brighter future. Okay, it off. Miss Chelsea.
Okay, thank you so much, Stephanie. And let's see those questions in the chat so you can access our wonderful experts. Dr. Parks, Cybrielle Bonner, do not pass up this excellent opportunity to have your early childhood education questions that I know are burning in your pockets answered by this crew. If there are no questions now and something comes up to you later, we'll do our best.
See, we have a couple of questions. We have a couple. If you'll just give us a second here. We'll get them over to you.
I'm actually not able to see the questions in the chat, so if you want to just read them out, I'd be happy to answer it.
Carol, would you mind reading the questions as they pop up?
I'm so sorry. I've been talking to you guys on mute. One question was, what kind of games? Stephanie mentioned what kind of games. So can you mention what kind of games we could play?
Take that one. So games definitely help with turn taking. Games also help support students accepting no. Losing, not winning is a part of life. And so some of the games that we would recommend would be some of the oldies but goodies, definitely like Chutes and Ladders, Candyland. Those games help with skills, also turn taking, helps with one-to-one correspondence, colors, helps students also be able to navigate taking steps back or sliding back down the ladder or going back in terms of Candyland so that they get used to that feeling of grappling. We want students to be able to struggle and know that it's okay to struggle, but be able to navigate what they're feeling when they are losing or not progressing in a way that they would like. As they gain in terms of their understanding of strategy. Games like Connect Four are great. Definitely helps them to be able to see sets in a series, sets horizontally, vertically. Those are great games. Stephanie, do you have some other ones that you would recommend?
Well, again, like you said, I'm a little bit old school too. Like I had mentioned with the laundry, putting a bunch of socks in the basket and then picking out the colors. I know with being just as a parent, me and my daughter, we play name words to start with, and then we'll just throw out a letter or whatever, like B, and then ball, a basement, and then we'll just kind of snowball off that. So yeah, make it simple. Our little mind, we don't want to frustrate them, and of course, we don't want to frustrate ourselves. So just make it simple as you can, and have fun with your babies. 'Cause learning is fun.
And say something. I want to, this Miss Kathy. What I do with my granddaughter and some of the kids, you know what they love to play? The game they love to play, Pitty Pat. They love to play Pitty Pat because they're counting, they're matching, and things like that. And they love to play the game Pitty Pat. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Thank you, Ms.
Awesome.
Kathy.
Absolutely.
Pitty Pat is a great choice in addition
Yes.
to just using those same cards to play memory, where you put the cards face down and start off small with just maybe a set of 6, and students turn over 2 to find them. That also helps with their quick recall. That helps with letter recognition and being able to recognize a set of numbers, a set of items.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other questions? I still can't see the questions in the chat, Stephanie.
Yes,
So if you want to
there
just name
was another one, as Stephanie Pitts mentioned, helping a child learn to be individualized. How does a parent help a child to be individualized? What exactly does that mean?
So I think in the presentation, Stephanie was alluding to individualization within the classroom for teachers. And so that's recognizing that each child has could possibly have a different way of learning. And so what we call it differentiation. And so making sure it's not a one size fit all model, that you are tailoring activities to students' development. And so recognizing where students are and where you're trying to take them, and then individualizing the activities in the classroom. And so I guess we could also say that with parents, all of your children don't learn the same. And so understanding that and then developing those activities that you can do with your children, recognizing their strengths and areas of growth.
Okay. I guess the last question that we have in the chat is someone is curious to know what some of the child care center provider owners are hearing from their parents. What are the parents struggling with at home to support what their children are learning with at the centers? Cybrielle, if you have any insights from your interaction with your teachers or the child care center owners, you might be able to kick that off.
If I could think about what we hear mostly from families in our child care centers, I think it would be those social emotional pieces. I just think the times that we're in, everything is so fast paced for children, so they easily get frustrated when they have to, like Dr. Park said, grapple with something. And so learning to teach your kids how to identify their emotions and process their emotions, name their emotion first. And so recognizing when you have a pouty face, asking them, why are you pouting? Did this frustrate you? And so giving them that language and then what to do with those emotions is really important, that I think our families struggle with. Yes, it's okay for you to have those emotions. Those are healthy. But because you're mad, that doesn't mean you get to hit your brother, your sister. What can you do with that emotion when you're mad? You can take a deep breath. You can count. You can go to a corner and center yourself. And so having those kind of discussions with your children is really important. And I think that parents sometimes forget that because they also have all these stressors coming to them. And so it's easier to, sometimes they lash out because they're under stress. And so I would say self-regulation starts with the adult. And so families, parents need to know how to self-regulate themselves and then model that for their children.
Well,
Thank
that
you
was
so
the
much.
last question in the chat. I don't know if there's one more pending hanging out there. That's the last one in the chat.
Yes, if anybody has a final question, we are happy to jump in. Okay. Well, thank you so much to our experts. It's not every day that you get access to this caliber of early childhood education specialists. And I really appreciate everyone for hopping on. Another amazing way you can get involved with our organization is through volunteering. We have an upcoming event on Wednesday, August 27th, and it is making prep care kits for teachers. And this event is limited to 5 volunteers. You can scan the QR code, or we will include the link in our follow-up information as well. The project provides essential self-care support items because at Collaborative, we invest in the whole process. So the child, the teacher, and having the infrastructure through wonderful early child learning centers. So it's all working together to get kids school ready. So you can see the volunteer opportunity, and probably one of the biggest ways that everybody can help support early childhood education is through giving to our organization and being an advocate of success for our families and children. If you would progress to the next slide, I would appreciate. Thank you. Yes. Help little learners succeed by getting involved through donating. It means even a small amount really has a huge impact. Another way that you can get involved is through advocating, letting people know about what you learned here today and our programs and what Collaborative for Children is offering to the community. We really appreciate everybody taking time out of their schedule. And if anybody would like to put their name in the chat to volunteer, I will make sure you get the correct information, put you on the list. VIP. But we just really want to thank everybody for joining and taking the time. And we consider everybody who joined already a burgeoning advocate. So just keep that support rolling with volunteering and donating as well. All the pieces come together to create a village of support. And that is something that is invaluable. You cannot successfully get a kid all the way through the journey without support. And we're here to provide that. And we love that investment from our wonderful champions in the community. And if you look in the chat, you can see our website that has more information, and you will all receive a copy of this webinar and the volunteer and other resources that I mentioned. So Thank you all and have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you from Collaborative.
Bye, thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Love the kindness in the chat. We'll catch you at the next webinar, or even better yet, volunteering. Bye.